Well people, here we are again. We're at part 2 of this video tutorial for YouTube on setting up OpenVPN in breached mode with dynamic DNS servers running on the same machine. First, we're going to go through the steps of setting up ISC bind and DHCP servers. We are going to do some configuration tweaks so that we can use them with OpenVPN. Firstly, the DHCP server configuration file. You can see this class definition is a very important stage of the configuration. There is an OpenVPN class defined, which gives us the chance to have addresses beginning with 00FF, which will do the trick when some client using the VPN connects. It will get an address of a specified range that we will define below. As you can see, this is a very regular configuration file. We have dynamic DNS addresses. You have to set this up, the domain name and the reverse domain name. This is the key part to dynamic DNS setup. You have here the name of the key that will be updating bind zones, the algorithm, and the key. Don't use this. This is a fake key I made for this tutorial. Here you have the definitions of the zones that will be updated by the DHCP update key. You have DGHBOIP.LAN, the primary name server for this zone, which in my case is hosted on this same machine. So I have the loopback interface address. You have here the reverse zone, because we want to look at flow. We use the reverse zone. This is the definition, the key that will be updated, and the server where the name server is being hosted. A subnet definition, which will be your main DHCP server subnet definition. I here declare the name again, the reverse domain name and the DNS domain name. This is a very cool thing I got to find on the web. This is concatenating the word DHCP to the list address that DHCP will be issuing to connecting clients. So whenever a client not on the range of our VPN clients connects, he or she will get DHCP dash list address dot and the concatenated domain name, which is very cool because that looks like an ISP kind of setup. Then we have some definitions, the domain name servers. These are regular configurations for DHCP server. Here we have this pool definition. Here is where the magic of this setup begins. We have this first pool will deny members of the OpenVPN class. So anyone connecting with a MAC address starting with 00:FF will not get one address of this specified range. Non-OpenVPN clients will get addresses ranging from 5 to the IP address. This second pool definition will give us another cool thing, because it will allow members of the OpenVPN class and will issue them addresses in the range of 50 to 99. So those are clients which will be connecting, and they will get an address on that range, and also they will get a VPN plus their list address host name. We're going to watch that in a second. So now we're going to watch the bind configuration. Here is the part that I was telling you about, where you must have the key definition for DHCP update, the algorithm, and the secret key. We have controls, the options. Here we have some important things that you have to look at, and this is the zones that we are going to be updating with our DHCP dynamic DNS setup. You have DGHVoip.LAN, the domain that I'm using, the type, which is master, the file where it's located, and which key is allowed to update this zone, which in this case is DHCP update. Here we have the reverse zone, which will be updated also by the DHCP update file, and it's a similar definition to the forward zone. This is the kind of thing that you want to issue when you are working with reverse zones. You can omit it if you want, but I rather use it. We are going to go through the zone files where you will see how this works. This is the file of the zone. You can see that it is updating the zones because here you can see DHCP and the address that was listed to this specific computer. Also, we have another client that connected and all got an address issued. And here we have some regular definitions of localhost, the email server for my network. These are the lines. This client was issued the 98 address and also has the VPN word in front of its address. This is showing us that dynamic update of the zone files is working, so you have to be very careful with permissions and all of that. You can go to tldp.org page and grab a copy of the DNS HOWTO. You will get a very nice tutorial on how to set up bind zones. I just assume that you know how to do this, so I'm not gonna go into detail of setting up DNS server or DHCP server. You know that this is being updated because this serial here gets to change every time a client updates this zone. Now we're going to see if reverse zone updating is working. Oh yeah, it is working. What do we have here? Client 98 is got its pointer. He or she is getting. This is a road warrior client for my VPN, and they are getting their address. That is the magical thing here, because we have two clients and they are connecting. They are getting their addresses and they are getting their host name. Also, you know that this file is being updated because this serial will change every time they get an address. You might be wondering, how in the world do I know that my server is doing dynamic updates? I made a simple tail to the messages log and I looked for added, and look what I got. Added new forward map for this client to this address, and it also added a reverse map from this address to this client. This is a very trustworthy way to know that your dynamic DNS setup is working. Another thing that you can do is just to dig the zone and you get these clients, the definitions of the clients on your zone file. This is what dig says, so dynamic DNS is working. It's always a good idea to double check on things. If you want to double check that the client is who it says it is, and if it's reachable, just ping the name you get from digging your zone file or from your messages log. If you get a response, there you have it. Client is reachable. This is a VPN client. You see the responses. So dynamic DNS and communication between server and the client is working.